production of Ruckus is made possible through the generous support of Dave and Jamie Cummings, the Hartwig family, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to Ruckus, our weekly food for thought fight over the news of the day and the trends of the times. I'm Mike Shannon. The Ruckettes join me shortly. And our topics this week, it was a Super Tuesday, but not for everyone. E-Tax supporters are hoping for a Super Tuesday on April the 5th, and a super celebration is planned for the streetcar launch. Plus, of course, roast and toast. But we start with our interview segment and talk about an item that has generated a lot of news over the past couple of weeks. It's the plan for Kansas City, Missouri to sell vacant and abandoned homes for $1. This is tied to Mayor Sly James' goal of dealing with the continuing problem of dangerous buildings, especially on the city's east side. The dollar deal has been met with much enthusiasm, keeping some workers quite busy. One of those is Ted Anderson, Executive Director of the Kansas City Land Bank and President of the Homesteading Authority. Ted, welcome to Ruckus. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mike.
What is the distinction between the Land Bank and the Homesteading Authority?
The Land Bank deals with tax foreclosures, and the Homesteading Authority deals with bank foreclosures.
What was the impetus for putting all these houses on the market now? Why not a year ago? Why not a year from now?
There's in the proposed budget for next year, which begins May 1st, there's a $10 million appropriation, really bond proceeds to be used to deal with nuisance properties. So we anticipated that the folks in Kansas City would be worried that we were just going to start knocking down houses with that money. And so our response is that we've got 135 houses that are imminent danger to the public. And so we put those on the dollar list, and we'd sell those to $1 and give the money to the rehabber as opposed to spending the money to demolish.
Well, this is tied in, is it not, with the mayor's plan to deal with dangerous buildings, especially in the eastern part of Kansas City, Missouri?
That's what the $10 million appropriation is all about.
So can you really buy a house for $1, or do you have to prove that you can fix the house up and spend a lot more than $1?
There are some qualifications. It's a dollar house, but it's not a dollar program.
Well, how much more money does somebody have to prove to you they have?
We're requiring that somebody have access to $8,500. We think the repairs to most of these houses are going to cost somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000.
But the city gives qualified buyers $8,500.
At the end of the rehab, you'll get an $8,500 rebate from the city.
So the buyer has to show he has at least $8,500 before he or she can get $8,500 from the city?
Correct.
The response, I gather, was overwhelming. Did you expect the turnout that you have seen?
I expected there to be a large turnout, but we've had from our email system, the phone messages, and people that stop by, we think we've had 3,000 or more inquiries.
Well, I take it wasn't a surprise to you, but I read that some city council members were surprised by this announcement.
Yeah.
Well, how did that happen?
Too. I'm not sure how that happened, but I've been having conversations with the city manager about it for a month.
So you knew in advance that this was likely or was going to happen?
I knew in advance that it was on the table.
Well, what's going to happen now? What happens to the people who have applied? How does the process work?
Well, the money's from the next budget, remember, so starting in May.
And the budget's yet to be approved by the city council.
The budget's yet to be approved.
So you don't know for sure this is all going to be in the budget?
We don't know for sure. But the folks that would normally argue about the budget are all in favor of this.
Okay.
So it appears likely this is going to happen.
So the budget's approved, then what?
The budget's approved, and then we put these applications. We diligently work until then, putting these applications together, analyzing them, and then we'll put them in front of our board starting May 1st.
So the sales have not yet been concluded?
Correct.
If somebody sees this or reads about it or has been thinking about it and would like to have a chance to buy one, is it too late?
No. We're going to take applications until April 1st.
Well, what should somebody do if he or she's interested?
They should start at our website, which is kcmolandbank.org, and they should find a few. There's a list of our houses on there, a list of our procedures on there, and we've got a FAQ, a frequently asked questions and answer sheet on there. And so they should find some houses they want to see, and we'll show them to them.
If this all goes well, do you expect that more properties will be put on the market for?
We have some more we could put on there.
How many more?
We have 750 houses that we think are rehabable, and we've got this 135 that are on the bubble, and then we've got 100 that Jim Kissick and the heavy contractors are going to demolish.
Okay, in about 10 seconds, other than this, what does the land bank do?
We maintain our property. We mow grass. That's really what we do.
And that's it.
That's it.
Maintain the properties, huh?
Yeah, board them up, things like that.
Ted, thank you very much. Pleasure to meet you. Thanks for coming by, and good luck with the project.
Great, thank you. It's been fun.
That is Ted Anderson, Executive Director of the Kansas City, Missouri Land Bank. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus. Steve Rose is a Johnson County civic leader and a columnist with the Kansas City Star. Gwen Grant is president and CEO of the Urban League in Kansas City. Mary O'Halloran is a media and communications consultant, and Woody Cozad is president of the Cozad Company, a government relations firm. We're putting the band back together this week. Anyway, let's start by following up on my discussion with Mr. Anderson. What we talked about is part of what seems to be a burgeoning effort by City Hall to placate the East Side, where economic development is far less vibrant than in other sectors where tax increment financing and special tax arrangements are manifest. Think downtown, think the Plaza, think Crossroads. With a critical earnings tax election on April the 5th, there's concern by supporters that an unhappy East Side could cause problems when the votes are counted. You'll recall that voters east of Troost were responsible for defeating a plan to expand the yet-to-begin streetcar system. A longtime critic of the e-tax sits on our panel this week, Woody Cozad. So, Woody, is opposition to the tax gaining some momentum?
Yes, it is. Whether it's enough to defeat the earnings tax this time around is another question, but it is gaining momentum all over the city. Strongly on the east side. I went to the Urban Summit. Gwen was there, and I don't think I exaggerate if I say every third, maybe every other speaker got up and unburdened himself or herself of their views on the east side paying the earnings tax and not seeing much of it coming back. And some of that was pretty intense commentary on the subject. I think the feeling in the east side is they're getting the short end of the stick, but they're paying the tax. If you're a billionaire, you know, if you were Rex Sinkfield and you just come ask for a TIF in Kansas City, they'd love you. But instead, he tries to get rid of the earnings tax. Look, they are taking care of the guys building the hotel. The developers will not pay the earnings tax. They also won't pay the quarter-cent or the sales taxes for cops and firefighters. Everybody on the east side pays it. You earn a nickel, you pay the tax. They look at what the east side gets and what downtown gets, and the people who have lobbyists and friends in City Hall and who donate to the campaign to keep the e-tax going, and it isn't hard for them to figure out.
Quick question. The supporters say it will cost the city $240 million, but not in 1 year, right? This is over a 10-year period.
Two things. First of all, yes, it's phased out over 10 years. The second thing is, by the city's own numbers, if we ran our government as efficiently as Indianapolis, which is the median city among our peer group, we would save $248 million a year, more than the earnings tax brings in, by $18 million, just by running as efficient a government as they run. We are one of the worst run cities among our peer group.
Mary, in a column a while back, our friend Yael Abouhaka called on voters to demand justification from the mayor to renew the earnings tax. Do you think the mayor has offered that justification?
Well, the mayor has offered that justification and more. And by the way, just to kind of put out some facts about how this campaign is going, a few days ago, your client Rex Sinkfield, Woody, wrote a check for $618,000 to pay for this campaign. $618,000. And well, that's what he filed with the Missouri Ethics Commission to pay for the campaign in St. Louis and here. So the idea that somehow the city is going and in starting programs to the benefit of the East Side solely to win their support for the e-tax extension is is a stretch. For example, I think everybody's aware of the fact that many of some of the programs that we're talking about with regard to houses and dangerous buildings and so on. It was started by the police chief before this budget was even put out there. So, you know.
Well, he probably talks to the mayor now and then, and other members of the city council. Just to
also
clarify, just for the purposes of
candidate
disclosure,
working hard on
you do have some working relationship with Rex Singsfield, do you not?
Yes.
And the number was actually the $1 for each person who lived in St. Louis in 1960. To remind the people over in St. Louis of how much their populations collapsed.
There are
all
lots
in
of
one
organizations coming out in support of the e-tax, among them Freedom Incorporated and Northland Neighborhoods Incorporated. Are you seeing growing support for the tax, Gwen, or do you see opposition building on the east side?
What we see, yes, Freedom did come out in support, or will be going more public with the support for the tax, but to Woody's point, what we're seeing is a lot of ambivalence in the community about the tax and people voicing their concerns exactly as Woody stated with regard to the inequitable allocation of resources on the east side. And frankly, while these efforts such as, are applauded, the $10 billion towards addressing the vacant properties on the east side, all of those things are laudable, but yet considered to be not enough. And the support for the tax breaks down primarily on the fact that people who work in Kansas City but do not live here
Do you think
carry
there's enough opposition
some of the
to keep it from
financial
passing?
burden. No, I don't think it's enough. There's no organized opposition.
get Steve.
But no, let me just say that there's
Well,
no
we gotta go.
organized opposition at this point.
I just want to tell you, Johnson County
Adores it, right?
Well, they would get rid of it because, I mean, that's wonderful. We'll get a free ride. We'll take care of all, we get all the amenities that Kansas City, Missouri has to offer. And so without the e-tax, we'll pay nothing for it. It's a great
why
deal.
is there nothing-
And half of the e-tax comes from outside Kansas City, Missouri. So it's a heck of a deal.
Why is there
And that's
nothing
why people are
analogous to
gonna
an
vote for
e-tax in Johnson County?
Well, you don't need an e-tax in Johnson County because you've got, fortunately, you have the affluence and the wealth so that the property tax raises enough money that you don't need these other sources of income.
By the way, Mike, about 39 neighborhood associations and civic organizations have endorsed it.
A long list.
and-
Steve Glorioso sent me the list. There are a lot
Well, the
of
list-
organizations.
the list is from
We
north
got to
to
go on
south.
to the
It's a
next
good
topic.
list.
The streetcar's grand opening will be a defining moment for downtown. So proclaims the Kansas City Star in its February 27th editorial about the 2-mile streetcar system running from Union Station to River Market. Service is set to begin on May 6, a few weeks later than initially anticipated. The Star believes the new system will soon have a chance to prove its value as a public transit service and redevelopment catalyst to further revive downtown. The Star editorial said Mayor Sly James pointed to $16 billion in construction development in the area over the past 3 years. Either the mayor misspoke or the Star's editorialist got it wrong. A correction appeared the following morning that the amount was closer to $1.6 billion, not $16 billion. If the streetcar is going to be a defining moment for downtown, what's the definition likely to be? Let's start with Gwen.
Well, if it's left for me to define, I would define it as an end to tax abatements downtown. And that, there would be no more public financing on the backs of school districts and libraries and other taxing jurisdictions because downtown has been redeveloped and revitalized, and all the development from River Market to Crown Center is what spawned the streetcar, because development spawns streetcars. Streetcars don't spawn
Development came first,
The
not the
development came
streetcar?
first, not the streetcar. And so when we're talking about, selling the expansion of the streetcar, why don't we now, let's define this moment by moving development east of Truce and then expanding the streetcar.
Do
in
you
that
believe
direction.
that, Mary, that development came first? And I might add some of it helped by city resources, I believe, and tax breaks. But is, hang on, now let me ask the question. Is Gwen right? Development came first, then the streetcar, not vice versa.
Well, that's what I was wondering when I was listening to her. It's the first time I ever heard you use the chicken and egg, the question
No,
about.
I've said it before. You
No.
may not have been here.
Oh,
but I have made that
She
statement.
may not have paid attention.
I
Yeah,
may
never know.
not have. Well, that probably isn't likely true. I always pay attention to you,
Kidding,
Gwen.
Mary.
I don't know, chicken and egg, which comes first? Well, of course there was.
Well, it does make a
development
difference in
along
this
the line,
discussion, doesn't
but
it?
whether the new development that has come about and it is about to come about, the developers themselves say the fact that the streetcar is there, certainly it adds to the city's connectivity. Let's put it that way. If we're ever going to have a city metro-wide good connectivity, a kind of day where people can get up and not have to drive their cars and can connect by bus, by train.
Well, that's a long way away from
If we're ever
Kansas
going to
City.
have it, then we need a starter. and
Steve,
this
you're a
is the starter.
businessman. How do you see this? Development first, then the streetcar, or did the streetcars?
Well, I don't know which
Present.
came first, but as a businessman, if you asked me to invest in the streetcar, I wouldn't put a nickel into it. I don't think it's going to pay off. And I think that there's going to be a lot more complications than they're foreseeing. And I think this car that was bashed into by the streetcar that was parked a little bit outside the white line is...
Was that a Johnson County car? It was.
It was a Johnson
County
County
car. It was a Mercedes.
And that gentleman called me today and said, by God, say something about my car. I'll tell you the truth, that is going to be a problem, and they're going to have to stop parking cars
Woody,
on Main.
that's an example of what opponents of light rail and streetcars have been saying for a long time. They're not mobile. A bus could have moved around the car. The streetcar is not going anywhere but on the rail.
Look, I grew up in a city called Kansas City, Missouri that had streetcars. And we were told that they had those ugly cables overhead, that they couldn't get around things, and that we needed to get rid of them. And now we're being told they're the greatest thing ever, and we need to bring them back. Look, I think the streetcar, if it were longer and went on further, could help development a little. It generally does. Whether it pays for itself, Steve's question, is quite another issue. This is a city where we got $500 million in debt service that other comparable cities don't have. We got this $250 million we're spending that other cities aren't spending, and this is the kind of thing that causes us to be doing that.
When the streetcars start running, Gwen, they're going to run into the late evening hours and on weekends until 2 in the morning. Is there a serious concern about crime potential?
Well,
Or should there be?
I would think I don't think there should be any more concern about crime potential. The buses run until 2 o'clock in the morning. It's a mode of transportation. So if you're out there, you got to be safe. I don't think you should escalate the concern. You should always be concerned about
The buses aren't free.
Well, that is good.
And a
That's
streetcar is. And I
And you
think
can
may
keep
have-
riding it back and forth, I
you
assume.
can stay on it and sleep on it.
Well, you might have
Steve,
some
don't you
homeless
think it's going to be packed for the first
issues.
few weeks?
And
I
then
mean,
it'll
people
die
are going to
down.
be packed on the train at first to see how much
well,
fun
not
it
at 2
is.
in the morning, I don't
Well,
think.
you know, you can get out of the crossroads.
But you know,
and
the
have dinner.
crossroads, people are still out.
can get on
drinking.
Well, but you can
Get
only
on
go
the
so
train
far on this. I
down
mean,
there.
you can't
go
just
back
go
to
all
the
over
But a
the
lot
area.
of people
Market and
live,
go.
for those people who live
Okay. All right.
downtown,
Thank
it
you.
actually could be
Thank you
safer.
all.
They won't be
It's gonna be
driving.
fun.
Thank you for your
If they're
thoughts. Now
drinking.
we're going to proceed. Super Tuesday is always super for some, not so great for others. The primaries and caucuses this past Tuesday gave major victories to Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, reinforcing the belief for many that they will be the two major candidates in this fall's presidential election. The 2016 campaign has forced panelist Steve Rose to revise his thinking about prognostication, writing in a recent column that he no longer believes it's impossible for Donald Trump to be the Republican choice. So, Steve, here's a chance to further revise your thinking. What do the Super Tuesday results mean for your Republican Party?
Well, I think I wrote not only is it not impossible, I think I wrote that it's probably
Yeah,
likely. And now after Super Tuesday, I would say it's a done deal. All you have to do to complete the picture is on March the 15th, when Donald Trump wins Ohio and Florida. Out goes Rubio, out goes Kasich. He's left alone with Cruz, and he'll be on cruise control. He is going to he's going to take the whole thing, and not the whole thing necessarily, but he's going to take the nomination, and he's not going to have to. It's not going to be brokered at the convention. This man's going to win the number of delegates that he needs to be the nominee for the Republican Party. And I have to take an Alka-Seltzer in order to say that, but I think it's the fact.
Does it destroy the Republican Party, as some people think it will?
I think it's going to be a disaster for the Republican Party in the general election. I think it's going to be like a Goldwater-Johnson kind of landslide. I think they're going to lose.
But that didn't destroy the Republican Party. 4 years after that, a
No,
Republican was elected president.
It did, but it was You saw even Kansas voted for Lyndon Johnson in that race. I mean, it was a sweep of
How about at
historical
the
proportions.
caucus this Saturday? Who will Republicans be voting for, do you think?
In Kansas.
In Kansas, yeah.
Well, I think they're probably going to vote for Trump. That's my guess, and I think he'll be the victor. Yeah.
Woody, we haven't been able to see it because we're taping the show on Thursday morning, but former presidential candidate Mitt Romney is giving a speech today, and he's talking about Donald Trump. He said he's a fraud and a phony, and if he's the nominee, Republicans will lose to Hillary Clinton. Does anyone care at this point what Mitt Romney has to say? And I don't mean that facetiously.
He has
but,
several children.
yeah, but I mean, he was the candidate. He failed in 2012.
Now, look, nobody who's even considering voting for Trump cares what Mitt Romney says, or what Jeb Bush says, or what Reince Priebus says, or anybody else you can name in the so-called whatever establishment of the Republican Party. The best stuff about this that's been written has consistently been written by Peggy Noonan, who keeps coming back to the point that if the Republican establishment wonders why Donald Trump is here, all they got to do is look in a mirror. They have created this monster. 62% of Republicans feel they have been, quote unquote, betrayed by politicians. Go over to the Democratic side, that's 42%, which is way too high. And a lot of that 42% in the Democratic Party is African Americans. But in the Republican Party, 62% of Republican base voters say I've been betrayed by politicians.
In 10 seconds, why hasn't
I am
Rubio,
not a Trump guy.
In 10 seconds, why hasn't Rubio done better?
Because he doesn't have a single idea. He wants to be Ronald. No. I mean, he wants to be Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan didn't say I'll rebuild the defenses. He said I'll have a 600-ship Navy. We'll put intermediate-range missiles in Europe. I'll cut taxes across the board 30%, all brackets. I mean, you knew exactly what he was going to do.
Mary.
If Rubio had those ideas, he'd be doing 10 points better.
Super Tuesday for Democrats. Does it mean Hillary is the nominee presumptive?
Yes.
And the end of Bernie Sanders?
Well, I mean, let's not be too casual about this. It means it looks that way because, I mean, Bernie.
What could go wrong for
Bernie
Hillary?
is loaded with money. Bernie is just a money-making machine. I don't know how many million he's got. He made $6 million on Election Day, so it just amazing.
What could derail Hillary? The email investigation?
Well, I suppose if he started to win the Great Lakes states across the top. I mean, she more than likely will win Ohio and Florida. And if she does, the numbers start piling up to the point where I don't know how he could catch up. Because, of course, she'll win New York and New Jersey. And, well, New Jersey, yes. And Maine, I guess, votes that day. But then we go out west, and he does better. But he's not going to carry California and Oregon and Washington. So what happened to Hillary Clinton was I think what she was is that the people in the South said, we accept you. You know, we didn't like the inevitability stuff that the media talked about, but you have fought for this nomination and you have fought hard for it, and we're going to stick with you.
We've got to wrap this up quickly. Can you, in 10 seconds, do you agree? Is Hillary the inevitable nominee?
I think she is, and I think Bernie will stay in. I don't think, as we go into March 15th, Bernie, I don't care what happens, I think he's going to stay in it. So he's going to.
Well, her speeches have become Bernie speeches.
Well, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, she has. I think that's a positive for her
Gotta wrap it
because
up
she's
here.
become a better speaker.
Moving left.
All right.
Bernie and me.
She's moving left, we're moving on. Now it's time for Roast and Toast, where the Ruckettes say yay or nay to people and events in the news. And we start with Mary.
Well, I want to toast Senator Claire McCaskill of Missouri. She announced had a pretty tough week a couple of weeks ago and had to announce that she has been diagnosed with breast cancer. But I want to applaud the fact that Claire, as in so many other times in her life, has made all of this very public. And this morning is, as you might expect, she was online on the internet asking and reminding women to get their mammograms. So we wish her well and hope that she continues to educate women about the dangers of breast cancer as she goes along.
We all wish her well. Steve.
Well, the media is always roasting Sam Brownback, but I have to do it again today because his cuts to the universities as a result of being short again on their estimates is appalling. And of that, 7.2 million comes out of KU, including the KU Medical Center. And that means that you're going to see cuts there in what is really the crown jewel, I think, of the greater Kansas City area in terms of health care. And it is a real tragedy.
I would like to roast Kansas City Rising or whatever it's called. You list the things you're going to do, and somehow one of the things that is viewed as an obstacle to growth is never our city government. You don't say we're going to do something about our city government. We have a higher debt level per capita than any other median city, and it's not even close, or comparable city, it's not even close. We're spending more than other cities. We have a really bad government, and it keeps people from coming here. Make that something you try to fix.
Gwen.
I'd like to toast Dr. Ben Carson for looking down that road and not seeing a pathway to the White House and taking himself out of the presidential race. He will not be showing up at the Republican debate this evening. He's standing down. Congratulations, Dr. Carson.
All right, and finally, here is a toast to Jim Heater, who retired last week as president and CEO of the Greater Kansas City Chamber of Commerce. During his nearly 6-year tenure, the former councilman oversaw the Chamber's move to Union Station and helped launch what is known as the Big Five Initiative. Heater says he wants more free time, but plans to stay active in the area's civic life, and that includes periodic appearances as a member of the Ruckus panel, where I believe he brings a wealth of knowledge and experience. And so that is Ruckus for this week. We're away for a couple of weeks, back on March the 24th. Now for the Ruckettes and the crew, I'm Mike Shannon saying thanks for watching and good night.